of my unhappiness may have been built into my DNA. However, my courses also taught me that genes do not determine our destiny. Our intentional behaviors and daily habits, the parts of our life that we choose and control, can interact with those genes to suppress or enhance their natural expression. This gave me hope. Perhaps I could find a way to quiet my gloomy thoughts and increase my happiness, even with the limitations I inherited genetically. This became my holy grail during my 20s. My personal quest aligned perfectly with my professional aspirations. I was fortunate enough to be enrolled in a doctoral program in psychology at the time, which provided access to a wealth of science and the scholars in the field who could guide my inquiry. I started work toward my PhD when positive psychology, a field dedicated to the understanding and enhancement of positive emotions, was still new. In addition to satisfying the requirements for my degree, I used graduate school as a veritable sandbox. I dug my hands into as much research as I could find on the nature of human emotion and what scientists had discovered about ways to maximize positivity and psychological health in young adulthood. I gathered information with my younger self in mind, always asking questions, always pushing to identify those points of choice where intentions can override our genetics or circumstances. My research provided a framework both for my own personal exploration and for the courses I began teaching shortly thereafter at Washington University in St. Louis. To answer my friend James's question, that research is ultimately what motivates this book. In 2008, I began teaching a course called The Psychology of Young Adulthood, which has enrolled between 100 and 200 incoming freshmen each fall ever since. As part of the course, the students complete weekly surveys in which they report what it was like to be a college freshman that week. They answer questions about their overall happiness and stress levels and tell me about the best and worst things that happen. They report how much time they spend in the library, how often they exercise, how often they get sick, and whether they feel socially connected. About 80 questions altogether gauge every aspect of how they are thinking, feeling, and behaving during each week of their transition to adulthood. The sheer volume of data I have collected over the years has allowed me to see which variables are most closely related. Not surprisingly, more studying means better grades, and better sleep means more happiness. But not all the findings have been so intuitive. The first year I taught this class, I gave special attention to how much time the students spent on social media. Facebook had been on the scene for only a few years at that point, and I wanted to see how it was impacting their lives. By 2008, nearly all of the students had an account, and they were using it to organize social events, share funny videos, and peer into the lives of all the friends they had amassed, even those they had never actually met. One of my students called it a miracle website for letting him stay connected with friends from high school who had scattered all across the United States for college. The amount of time they spent maintaining their social media presence must offer a payout, I thought. With this much social connection at their fingertips, and given how much time many of them were spending on it, I assumed Mark Zuckerberg had blessed young adults everywhere with the gift of happiness. That was until I looked at their data. The more time students reported spending on Facebook, the worse off they were in nearly every other aspect of their lives. Their efforts crafting perfectly manicured lives for the world to see were not only unproductive, they were actually counterproductive for their happiness. More time on social media was associated with lower self-esteem, less optimism about the week ahead, less sleep, more homesickness, and less motivation. The single strongest correlate was the most ironic of all: less connectedness to others. That's right, the more time they spent on the miracle website, allowing them to read daily updates and live vicariously through pictures of friends and family around the world, the less socially connected they felt to actual people. Instagram only made the problem worse. The Washington Post recently published the story of a teenager who carefully monitors not only which picture she posts for her hundreds of followers to admire, but also how many likes each photo gets. Those photos without at least 100 likes she deletes altogether. She has even established a system of earning likes from